And welcome to Tackle the Board. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me at Chris Ebomb on Twitter. And that's Russ Reese. He's the Vegas line reader. Russ, still staying hot.
Yeah, man, it's been a great weekend. I can't even keep track. I've been winning so much these past couple weekends. I was
Seriously?
like, I'm backtracking, looking now. I'm just like, I can't even remember the teams I took, but definitely went 2-0 over the weekend, college football, and then Sunday 4-0 on some of the big plays that, including Monday Night Football with the Bears game. That was a great game to watch, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. That was the worst officiated game I've ever seen. I saw a ref hip check somebody throwing a flag on somebody else. Dude, it was unbelievable. They wanted the Steelers to cover that game. It was so insane.
Yeah, that was definitely a brutal game to watch. I was texting you during the game. I'm like, I usually don't complain about rigging games, but these refs were absolutely terrible. Like it was just rough to watch, man. But luckily, with all that happening, we still got the cover in that game, so it was great.
Yeah, it was great, man. And I had a really good Sunday as well. You know, getting off the schneid finally, coming on the winning side over here. A big bet I had with Buffalo and the Jags under, which we never sweat for 1 second. And unfortunately got the push with the Chargers. We love the Chargers all week. I just had a terrible number, unfortunately. We knew they were going to win that game. That was a must-win game for them. Good teams need to win that game, and that's what's going to happen there. So
you always got to sprinkle a little bit on the no touchdown for the game. You get like a 100-1 or something.
Oh my gosh, it's outrageous.
I always try to find that one game in the season that I'm like, no one's going to score a touchdown in this game or whatever. So and then when you get that one touchdown, you're like, oh damn, almost had it, you know.
Yeah,
but great odds for those type of games. You could always find one or two in a season that happens. So that was it right there. And usually the Jaguars are involved in those type of games.
Typically. Exactly. But hey, it's DFS time over here. And let's get our guy on here, the real NFL guru, Anthony Servino. Anthony, how are you doing today?
What's going on, guys?
Another winning week in the books, you know, keeping it rolling. Everything's good. Get that DFS rolling as well, man. Let's get this party started.
Yeah, last week was a little brutal for me. I had a pretty good season up to this point, and last week, I don't know what happened.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, man. We get in those little ruts sometimes. It's tough winning every week, man. You know, I remember at the beginning of the season, the first 6 weeks, I was pretty much untouchable. And then at that point, I started getting a little slump. And now we're getting back into the rolling of things. Like I say, the cream will rise to the top eventually. Yeah. And, you know, I have faith in you, Anthony.
All the greats have a bad week, man. So you get your one bad week and then you bounce right back, man. That's how it works.
I hope so. I don't like betting without confidence.
Well, definitely.
Well, I totally understand that, but you know what? You got to trust your work, and you know you've been putting a lot of work in. And let's see what we can do this week. So let's look at the board over here for the most part. I am looking on DraftKings right now, and I want to get right into the QB situation. You know, the very popular play for the most part. See what is going on here. Have you heard as far as anything going on with Kyler Murray?
I don't think Kyler practiced today. Now, whether he needs to practice to play, I doubt he really needs to. You know, like there's a lot of marquee players. They have rest days, or if they're banged up and can play on game day, they're out there. But, you know, if I'm the Cardinals and I'm thinking long term and seeing what Colt McCoy did last week, I might be, you know, leaning to start Colt McCoy, because remember last year, Kyler suffered, I think it was a shoulder injury against Seattle. It was either week 11 or week 13, and he didn't miss a game, but he wasn't the same quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, You're looking at a guy that's a big-time player, an MVP-type player, but it looks like the Cardinals don't really need him at this point just to win these games, so it probably is the best move for that to happen. But there's a quarterback that I've been in absolute in love with, Justin Herbert. Talk about a guy that throws a fastball. This is the kind of quarterback you want on your team, and now he's going against Minnesota at home. What are your opinions on Justin Herbert here?
Listen, you know, Herbert had a little bit of a rough patch, like we were talking about earlier with betting. Well, Herbert had his rough patch going into last week's game. You know, he struggled against Baltimore, struggled against New England, and then he comes out on fire against Philly on the road. Pretty good, you know, it's deceptively good secondary, and he just picked them apart. 123.2 quarterback rating, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he ran for another score. I like Justin Herbert this week in the matchup against Minnesota. He's one of the more expensive quarterbacks on the main slate at 7,300, but he should be a smash play because the Vikings with this Dalvin Cook stuff looming over their heads now, the Vikings could be in a spot where they get blown out on the road.
Yeah, I hear you. I just feel like Justin Herbert, I mean, I just don't think you have to get cute with the quarterback situation this week. I think you probably should just buy up for the QB. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we should go low with somebody, or do you think this is just, hey, let's just play the best guy here that we need to play, and let's, play a little lower on the other end?
I've been buying up, and I play a lot of lineups, but like the past, with Josh Allen, and he didn't deliver. It was like the last week, obviously, and then even the week before that in pretty good matchups. Now he gets the Jets. Like, I understand paying up for somebody like him, but, I would rather go with Tom Brady against Washington, Herbert, obviously against the Vikings, or even Dak in a big time, in a must bounce. I was
waiting
for
that one. That's what I was waiting for. I was just going to ask you, man.
And they're getting Gallup back.
Yep. Yeah. It looks like he only had 14 completions earlier in the season, and the next game he ended up putting 300 passing yards, put up 20. Yeah, he's been putting up big numbers all season, Dak, and looks like last week was just one of those fluke weeks.
Nothing. I like that you bring up, should we not mess around with quarterback? Because if you scroll down, there are two guys that pop out to me, Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz. That's 6,000 and 5,900. They're in great matchups. I'm going to take the cheaper quarterback and build up everywhere else. As good as both of these guys have been playing, the Jaguars, what if their defense kind of turned the corner? Now, they're not going to limit the Colts to nothing, but, this is a game where Carson Wentz probably doesn't have to throw a lot. There's going to be a big-time Jonathan Taylor game. And then Matt Ryan going to Dallas. He played really well last week, but this could be a letdown spot. So I would rather, go with, like what you said, pay up a little bit for the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get into the running back situation over here. What is going on with Christian McCaffrey?
I don't know if he's fully healthy. And if he is fully healthy, does he have doubts about himself? Because in the past 2 years, he gets hurt, he comes back, and then he's hurt again immediately. He did have 18 touches, which is concerning because a guy like Christian McCaffrey, you give him 18 touches, he should be giving you a lot more than 14.6 DraftKings points. It was against New England, but the bigger thing could be here. Sam Darnold, atrocious. Now Darnold's out for a couple of weeks, and it's going to be PJ Walker. And Christian McCaffrey can overcome a lot, and he's played with Cam at the end, and Kyle Allen, and Teddy Bridgewater, and McCaffrey has overcome, but I don't know if he's going to do it this year.
Yeah, I was looking at
not for that price.
You keep riding Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's had a touchdown in 6 straight games.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, slow start, really has been killing it of late. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like 5 or 6 games straight with over 20 points, 3 of them over 31. And, for some reason, he's not the highest priced running back. There's McCaffrey and Kamara ahead of him. I don't get it. The matchup against the Jaguars, this is going to be another smash spot for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he's second in rushing yards right now, and now he's just getting going. So you're basically getting one of the best running backs right there. Instead of taking McCaffrey, the highest price against one of the best defenses in Arizona. It just seems like a dumb pick right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
So I'm looking at the wide receiver spot. This is a guy that always seems like he's always got his hands on the ball all the time, and that's Scary Terry over here. What are your thoughts about him this week? Because I always feel like he gets targeted a lot for the most part. I feel like he's kind of a sneaky good wide receiver.
He is a really, really good wide receiver. I just don't trust the quarterback situation. And Terry McLaurin, I always say this about him. If you put him with Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, he's a top 5, top 3 fantasy receiver. But because it's been, he had Ryan Fitzpatrick for a minute, Taylor Heineke, I don't know what the hell he had thrown to him last year, Haskins and, McLaurin, we have not seen his ceiling yet. And in the past 4 games, he scored fewer than 8 fantasy points 3 times. So he's really expensive. He's a pretty good matchup against Tampa. He did exploit them in the playoffs last year with Heineke, but at this point, the league knows who Taylor Heineke is, and they caught up to him. So I'm worried about McLaurin this week.
Nah, I totally understand that. As far as another guy that I'm looking at, Tyler Lockett. Now we got Russ Wilson coming back this week. Is this a point where we can get Tyler Lockett in our lineups?
Yeah, Lockett plays his best football with Russell Wilson. And, the last game, he finally got it going without Russell Wilson for 29.2 points. But he was kind of a dud before that for like 5 games. But this should be a decent spot in Green Bay. I don't like the matchup on the road, but this could be a big game for Lockett. Where's his price? He's priced at 6,500.
Yep.
I would rather go up because Mike Williams is only $100 more. And Mike Williams has been the start he had was incredible. And in the past 5 games, he had 4 games in the single digits. I think this is a spot where he bounces back big and nobody's going to expect it because of, 4 straight games in the single digits. So I would rather pay the $100 more and go with Mike Williams because this could be the game where he gets back on track.
No, I hear you. I mean, I just love Herbert. I think he just gets the ball out to his playmaker so quickly, so I can't really argue with that. Tight end. One tight end we got to play this week, Anthony. Who's it going to be?
One tight end that we have to play this week. If we're going to go cheap, Pat Freiermuth has been probably the hottest tight end in football that nobody's talking about. 3 straight games. Now, he's the primary benefactor of Juju Smith-Schuster being out because Juju had all those short and intermediate routes. There's no Eric Ebron. He's been banged up. And Freiermuth now over 12 fantasy points in each of his past 3 games, going for 21.3 on Monday night. He scored 3 touchdowns in his past 2, and he's been targeted 6+ times in each of the past 3. Like Freiermuth could be a big-time fantasy tight end. Like enjoy his price tag now because it's only going to go up. Like he'll be a top 5 fantasy tight end in 2 weeks. Watch. In terms of DraftKings points.
Sure.
Keep an eye on him, man.
I mean, Big Ben's definitely looking for that safety blanket because we talked about before. Big Ben's pointing up to the sky every time he makes a completion. Like he's like, oh my gosh, I did it. He's not looking. I don't know. He's just not looking that great.
He can't make the throws downfield, and we saw this last year.
Mm-hmm. And as far as defense goes over here, what's like a middle of the road defense that we feel like that we can pick pretty much that maybe won't be as popular as others?
I feel like last week we talked about Kansas City because of the spot against Jordan Love. I don't know if there's a Kansas City in the bunch this week. But if we're going to look at lower end guys, now, obviously, there's a slight chance Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, very slight. But if he doesn't play, obviously, you smash Seattle at 2,500. I'm kind of feeling Philadelphia. On the road in Denver, like Denver's going to have a letdown game. They're coming off that a big emotional win at Dallas at the expense of my Cowboys. And, they're in a spot where they're going to, they're at home. They should win. I think Philly can go in and dominate this football game on defense.
Did you see the dollar signs over my head or something? Or was I making it obvious?
But hey, Anthony, I'll tell you what, you were great. I love your insight right there at the Eagles. I'm 100% bored with you because I think this is a really good spot for this defense, especially with Denver kind of surprising the Cowboys here. They might be smelling themselves a little bit. But Anthony, before you go, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at The Real NFL Guru and my work over at the FFFaceoff.com.
All right, that's our fantasy guy. Thank you, Anthony. Good luck.
See you later, guys.
You're going to crush it. Take it easy. All right, and that's Anthony over there, Anthony Servino.
I thought I was trying to get him to throw in that Cowboys defense, man. I think they're going to
we throw the bait. We throw the bait a little bit. That's how it goes.
Oh, and I wanted to throw out little Mike Evans right there. Mike Evans had another bad. He only had 4 targets last game, so he's a big baby. He has to get the ball. So.
Oh yeah, sure. He'll whine and complain a little bit. Tom Brady doesn't like him this week.
Especially against Washington.
But I liked where his head was at with the Eagles there because I was surprised he actually said them. I think that's a really good spot for him. We'll talk more about that Eagles game, but Russ, NFL's been good. If you watched the show last week, it was great. All our leans were pretty much close to hitting for the most part. It was a great spot. If you watched the show, you definitely made money on the NFL this week. Whether you follow the Sharp app or you're just watching the show, you definitely made money with us last week. And we're going to continue doing that because we are getting locked and loaded, making money in the NFL, Russ.
Hell yeah, man. We're going to make money again. We said it the past 2 weeks. We've been dominating. So if you guys are listening, we're just going to keep rocking and rolling here and feeling good again. Did a lot of homework again. Going to keep making money, guys. We're halfway through the season, so we know who the good teams and the bad teams are. So all we got to do is just find the special situations.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it right now. Thursday night football over here. Ravens at Dolphins. The line is currently at 6.5. The over-under is 47. Russ, where are we going?
I actually like the Ravens here. I mean, you got the Dolphins. They're 31st in defensive yards allowed. They're just having a terrible season, too. I mean, I'm not going off of them just winning against the Texans last week. Then you got the Ravens. They're second in the NFL in offensive yards a game. So that's just trouble for the Dolphins defense here. It's just a complete mismatch here. The Ravens should be able to take advantage of the Dolphins. And then the Dolphins are the type of team who can't take advantage of a weak team in the Ravens with their secondary lately this year. Ravens have been giving up a lot of passing yards, but the Dolphins don't have the type of passing game that can take advantage of that. So I see a 31-14 type of game. Give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I actually looked at the line. It's at 7.5 right now, but you can always shop around, find your best line and everything. The Ravens, they're coming off 2 against the spread losses. This is going to be a really good little bounce back spot for them. The Ravens are actually 5th ranked rush DVOA and 10th pass DVOA. So that offense has been there. Miami's offense at home is ranked 30th when it comes to offensive DVOA. They've been terrible at home with their offense, as you can see throughout the entire year. You know how low I was on the Dolphins this year, and it is showing because I was definitely against the Dolphins off the bat.
Is that 9.5 wins going to hit still, or?
No, I think we're safe. I think we're safe with that one. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think you're waiting to catch that ticket. At this point, so. You just got to wait it out. That's the worst thing about the win totals. You got to wait out the whole season.
Yeah, I know, till you get that payday, and it'll be nice. It'll be like a nice little bonus check. So we're gonna be happy about that. But I'm right there with you. 6.5, 7.5. I don't care. I'll take the Ravens. They're gonna smash these guys, and I like that under as well. So I'll ride with you on the under on the. Well, now it's 46.5. I'm more than happy to take that under. I just don't think the Dolphins are going to score here.
Yeah, and I wanted to throw in it's the second half of the season, so teams like the Ravens, they've been getting up a lot of yards. This is when the teams start getting serious. Like these playoff caliber teams, the defenses start getting it together. Remember Seahawks last year. Remember first half of the season, we kept fading them. The defense was terrible. Second half of the season, I noticed that they gave up like 17 points per game on defense. So bad defenses still find a way to turn it around in the second half of the season.
Yeah, a lot of teams are trying new things, new players, things like that for the most part. But yeah, we're just examining everything, and that's what we do here. So let's get into the next game. We got the Bills at the Jets. The line is currently 11.5, dropped 2 points. The over-under us, 47.5. Where are we going?
Yeah, I love when people think they're getting sharp. They're being sharp by taking the Jets. I love when it's on a terrible team. It never works out for people. No. I got the Bills here. You got a top 5 team with a top 5 quarterback coming off their worst loss of the season. Would they put up 6 points last week? These guys are totally embarrassed. This is one of the most balanced teams on offense and defense here. So I expect to bounce back easily here. They'll take care of business versus one of the worst teams in the NFL. 34-13 type of game here. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at what the Jets have done here. They have scored the most points that they possibly have done for them. Well, they scored 30 points. You want to see what they did the last 2 games? They scored 31 and 30 points. They've been scoring like crazy over here with Mike White coming in and out with injuries, Josh Johnson coming in. Like, this is going to end right here. The scoring is going to stop here. The Jets are actually 1-9 after scoring 25 points. And the only reason why they have that one cover is because it's just, I'm looking right here. Let me see.
Well, that's the thing. They caught the Bengals sleeping 2 weeks ago. The Bengals just didn't come out to play. And then last week they got dominated against the Colts, but the Colts were just giving up garbage points the whole time. So the Jets weren't really doing anything. The Colts were just putting up a bunch of points, and then they just were, how they play defense.
Yeah, they'll come back.
Send everybody back, prevent defense, give the short passes. And the Jets didn't do anything in the game that was surprising, So
the Jets,
the Bills are a solid top 10 defense. So
Yeah.
now you're going to be facing a real defense who's actually motivated. So that's not good for them.
No, absolutely not. And the Jets, like I was saying before, they're 1-9 after scoring plus 25 points. So they haven't done well after 25 points. This
Is
is
that
kind of
1-9 straight up or against the spread?
Against the spread. Against the
Okay,
spread.
cool.
Yeah. Against the
Awesome.
spread. We got to remember, though, the Jets is still one of the worst defenses in the NFL, even with Salah and everything else. Doesn't matter. And also, the Bills are 3-0-1 against the spread in their last 4 games following against the spread loss. You know, Allen's going to come out firing. I will be more than happy to take the discount on the Bills. And I also like the under once again with this Bills game because I just don't think the Jets are going to really score here. They already scored in the 30s their last 2 games. It's not going to happen again, especially with this good Bills defense, this under and the Bills. This is a nice little same game parlay action. I'm all about it. I think I'm going to dive into that.
Nice, for sure. Yeah, you can make some easy money betting against the Jets.
Yeah, absolutely. And the under. It's a beautiful thing after them scoring 30 points back-to-back games. Absolutely insane. Yeah. Next game, the Falcons at the Cowboys. The current line for the game right now is -8. It has dropped down to -8. The over-under, Russ, 54.5. It went up a little bit. So where are we going?
Yeah, we've been dominating the past couple of weeks, hitting on all the dogs, and now people think they're being sharp on these dogs, but now they're just being fooled. Now it's a favorite kind of week here. I got the Cowboys here. I see the public's actually backing the Falcons here. That's a mistake. Cowboys got absolutely dominated last week as the Broncos literally ran all over them. They just punched these guys in the mouth on defense. I was watching that game. The Cowboys were worn out, man. They were just killing them in the run game. And then the offense, who have been putting up big numbers on offense with Dak all season. I was talking about earlier in the season how Dak averages like 35 some points at home the last 10 games. This was a game where they just put up no points. They put up 16 and they were garbage points. So I see the offense getting back to normal here. And the Falcons are 31st in NFL sacks. You can't have a team that doesn't get a pass rush facing a high-powered offense at home. It's just definitely trouble here for the Falcons. I see a 35-20 type of game. The Falcons just won't be able to keep up. And Matt Ryan, who is up and down, he looked really good last week. This is going to be where he's just going to look bad this week. And the Falcons actually faced one playoff caliber team on the whole season. That was against the Bucs. They lost by 23 points.
Yeah, I mean, facing good teams, they haven't done well. I still feel like Matt Ryan should be able to throw on this pass D. This pass D is their weak point here. The over is actually 4-1 for the Falcons in their last 5 games as underdog. If I were to take something, even though it is high, I think I'm going to take the over because the Cowboys do need to make a statement on offense after that dud they had against Denver. So I think points will be going back and forth. I'm all about the over here.
Definitely. Next
game, Jaguars at Colts. The current line is, let's see, -10. The over-under is 47.5.
I actually like the Jaguars here. The Jaguars are coming off a big win last week, but the thing is they didn't really play that well. They only scored 9 points in the game. So Lawrence actually only had 118 passing yards in the game. And 2 weeks ago, they only scored 7 points against the Seahawks. So Colts are 23rd in the NFL in passing yards allowed. So I see this game being a Jags can score type of like 20 points. I think they can get in this game. So this is a division game. 10 points is a lot. As I feel everyone thinks the Colts are going to be good. I don't trust the Colts here. They're not a team that I have in making the playoffs. So whenever I see a team giving a lot of points and they're not a playoff team, I don't mess with favorites like that. So I'll take the points here all day in a division type of game, 28-20 type of game. I think the Jags lose, but they get the cover here.
So I'm looking at what they did. Well, this is actually the first time that they're playing this year. As far as what they have done before, Jacksonville, they were a 15.5 point dog. They ended up covering that game. This game is now at 10. It's just hard for me because I understand your feeling about the Colts not being that great, but the Jags also aren't that great either. This is still kind of scenario that I'm looking at, that like these teams that do well and they show well, they don't end up doing good because they're not good teams. And Jags just are not a good team. And the records have shown that. The Jaguars are 0-4 against the spread, and their last 4 following against the spread win. And the Colts, they have beat up on these bad teams. They're 4-0 against spread against teams with a losing record. I'm not crazy about this game, but if I had to choose, I would take the Colts because I can't back a bad team covering 2 games in a row like that. because we know the Jags are bad, but you know what? The Colts aren't that good either. This is a stay away for me, but if I had to take something, I would take the Colts.
Nice.
Next game, we got the Browns at the Patriots. The line is -2.5 Patriots. The over-under, Russ, is 45.
Yeah, it's a tough game. That's why I'm going to take the under here. This is basically a big game for both teams, as I feel like whoever wins this game will end up being in the wild card spot, and the one that misses or loses this game, I feel like is going to miss the playoffs. The Browns defense, they've actually been solid all year. In all of their games versus average to below average quarterbacks, they've given up 21 points or less to every single team. This is also a tough spot here for Baker on the road. Chubb is under the COVID protocol too, so he's not going to be practicing all week. So I could just see that the Browns offense are going to be a little sloppy too this week. So this just has a feeling of just like smash mouth type of game, under type of game. I think it's going to be like a 2017 type of game. Give me the under in this game.
Yeah. I talked about at the beginning of the season how I thought the Browns really benefited from a really easy schedule. I'm not sold on the Browns, really. I know their defense has been decent, and Chubb's been great. I mean, Chubb is what makes this offense run. And now that I don't think he's actually going to play this week, to be honest with you. So something about the Browns in general. The Browns are 1-8 against the spread in their last 9, following a straight-up win of more than 14 points. They have not performed well after smashing teams. They just smashed the Bengals. That was a big game for them. They're riding high here. The Browns are also 0-7 as dogs off a double-digit straight-up win versus a team that's 33% win percentage or better. The Patriots are ranked 9th in the NFL in home offensive DVOA. They've been really good at scoring at home. The Browns, they're ranked 17th, ranked away defensive DVOA, which is much worse on the road than at home. Their defense has not been traveling like it has been at the dog pound. I really like the Patriots here. I think this is going to be the nail in the coffin for the Browns, and I think this will be it for the Baker Mayfield show. And I know I'm riding a young QB, but I'll take Belichick here. This is a really good spot. A lot of people are high on the Browns this game because of that beatdown against the Bengals. Give me the Patriots -2.5. That's how I'm rolling over here.
Nice.
Next game, we got the Lions at the Steelers. We got -8 with the Steelers. The over-under 42.5 for us. What are we doing here?
I got the Steelers here. I'm usually all about fading the Steelers, but I can see the defense just dominating, winning this game. Lions have actually scored 19 points or less in 7 straight games. I think Najee Harris, this is going to be his one game that he's just going to go off here. He was showing signs last week that he was dominating. I can see him doing it here. 28-13 type of game here. I think the Steelers control this game. And there's been a couple games already this year where the betting public is backing the Lions. And there were a couple games where they just didn't cover the spread. They weren't even close to covering the spread. I think the public was on them against the Eagles and the public was on them against the Bears. Like those were 2 games the Lions just looked terrible. Just a little tidbit here for the Steelers. Their next 7 games, they're all against good teams for the rest of the season. So if you're a Steelers fan, just get ready for the free fall because they're not as good as the record is. And you're going to see by the end of the season, they're going to probably fall apart like they did last year.
So I like where you're at with the Steelers. I think if you're going to be on a side, I think since they didn't cover that game last week as well, I think that's good for them. I think they're going to get a little more Lions love. Originally, I did like the Lions in this game to cover it, but because I didn't know if at that point the Steelers were going to cover against the Bears, but once I started looking at it, the Bears was the play. We were good with that. I'm more on the over, actually. Detroit's defense is ranked 29th in defensive DVOA. We know their defense sucks. Pittsburgh's home defense has not been good. They've been ranked 25th in defensive DVOA in the NFL at home. That defense at home has not been good. So I think Goff can get some points here. And I think Najee Harris, like you were talking about, I think he's going to have a really good game. And that's going to lead the scoring with the tight end and everything else that goes along with it. I love the over 44. I think that's the play here.
Nice.
Next game, we got Saints at Titans. Titans are -2.5. The over-under is 44.5.
I like the Saints here. Titans coming off a big win as a +7.5 dog last week. Tannehill had just 143 passing yards in that game, and they had only averaged 3.7 yards a carry in that game. Stafford basically gave away 2 interceptions in the first half that turned into easy touchdowns for the Titans, made this game look a lot worse than it really was. The Rams are the type of team that just couldn't come back from that. Titans are always good when they have come up with a big lead. They're so inconsistent. They either have huge leads or they're down a lot. Like, they're just a hot and cold type of team. And I don't trust them here in this spot. Then you have the Saints, who are coming off an upset loss as a -7 favorite to the Falcons last week, which we called. We knew that the Saints had a big win against the Bucs, and we knew last week was their down game. Yeah, so now this week they're going to be jacked up again. Public is all over the Titans, and whenever that happens, they always put up a dud. This will probably be a big play for me to give me the Saints here. I'll take them as an underdog, as they play great as underdogs all season. I got to look back to see all the spots. I think they covered every spot they were a dog. So give me the Saints here. I'll take this underdog all day.
Yeah, this dog definitely barks for us. The Saints are great as dogs. When they're a favorite, they don't fare too well. But as a dog, they're good. Remember, they were a dog in that Green Bay game, the first game, and they absolutely smashed. The Saints, they're 5-0 in their last 5 following against the spread loss, and they have the 3rd ranked total defensive DVOA in the NFL. This defense has been nasty. Tennessee, they don't have that run game anymore. Their offenses are both like similar ranking wise, but without Henry, they drop off so much more. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet yet, but we see it, we notice it, and this is a great spot for the Saints here. And the rate this Tennessee game is going, maybe you just wait. Maybe you will get 3.5 with the Saints, but I think Saints are more than a live dog to win here outright. And give me the Saints here. This is the perfect spot for them.
Yeah, and the Titans, we talked about this earlier in the season with watching like ESPN and different people's power rankings. People have the Titans right now in the top 5. They're a top 5 team. This team was projected to win 8 or 9 games, or I think it was like 9 games before the season started. Okay, you can overachieve when you have Derrick Henry and he's playing great. That's okay. But there's no Derrick Henry anymore. People need to realize that. So these guys are overachieving. Now they lost their best player. Now it's funny that nobody was betting the Titans last week. There were 30% were betting them, and now they're just flip-flopping because they beat the Rams. So now they're like, oh, these guys are legit. So now the public's all over the Titans. That's what we want. 70% of that public getting all over the Titans will be on the other side of those games.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was looking on Twitter and everything. They're showing like, this amazing run that the Titans are having with all these big wins against like KC and like whatever, they're just building them up, so they can get all that Tennessee money in, and then everyone's going to lose on Tennessee. That's just what's going to happen. We're not falling for it.
They're just reeling them in, man.
Just reeling them in. Just reel them in. If you're watching a show, don't get reeled in. Just take the Saints with us. It'll be fine. We'll cash another one. It'll be great. But hey, another game that we can cash over here. Bucks at Washington. The line is 9.5. Washington's getting 9.5. The over under us 51.5.
Yeah, I actually like the Bucks here. Washington's 29th in NFL defensive yards allowed, and Bucks are very motivated as they're coming off a loss, and they're actually coming off of a bye. So we have a focused Tom Brady. You give him some motivation. I see him putting up 30-some points in this game. And then, again, this is playoff caliber teams. They haven't looked good on defense. This is the type of game where I think the defense starts turning around. They're going to start getting turnovers. Heineke loves to throw interceptions, so he could get a little sloppy in this game. I see a 34-17 type of game. I got the Bucks here.
Russ, this is what we call a body bag game. This is what's going to happen here. Speaking of the bye, Washington's coming off a bye as well. They're 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games following a bye week. They suck off the bye. Washington's also 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games as an underdog. That pass defense sucks, and it's just not good. Tom Brady's going to pick it apart left and right. And you know what? We talked about the Bucks getting revenge. The Bucks are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games following against the spread loss. Coming off a bye, feeling good, looking to kick some ass, get the things rolling. Tom Brady's like, okay, we got through the first half. We coasted through. Playtime's over. They're going to lay the smackdown on Washington. I love the 9.5. It'll be a rocking chair game. It's going to be a body bag game.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do after a bye? What are you going to study Tom Brady and you're going to shut him down all those weapons? Like what
Yeah.
the hell are you going to do? You know, if you're like a mid-tier team playing another mid-tier team, okay, you can take away people's weakness. You're not going to take anything away from the Bucks in this game. They might throw out a trick play or something, but that's about it. I don't see these guys are just banged up, beat up. They haven't covered. I think they're the worst against the spread this year. The team's just an absolute mess. We talked about this before the season started. Everybody was high and mighty on this team, and look at what they're doing. They're actually playing good teams now, and they're screwed. They can't play with good teams. They can only take advantage of the bad teams, is what they did last year, and they don't get to sack Carson Wentz 12 times.
Yeah, and we talked about at the beginning of the year how much we were down on him. And Ron Rivera, as I talked about, who I feel is very overrated. This is now showing the true colors of this Washington team. They are not good. And then you got Tom Brady pissed off for like a week with the bye. This is going to be ugly. I'll be more than happy to take the Bucks here.
Definitely.
Next game we got Vikings at Chargers. The line is at Chargers are -2.5. The over-under 51.5. Actually, -3 Chargers. The over-under is 53 now. Both have moved up.
I like that 3 now. I like that. I actually like the Vikings here. I just feel like they're the more desperate team here. So you got the Chargers 5-3 facing a Vikings team that's 3-5. And the spread's now, it was only -2.5. Now it's moved to -3, but very fishy line here. So definitely do some digging into this game. Chargers defense is dead last in NFL in rushing yards allowed. We've talked about this before. Vikings offense is first in the NFL in sacks allowed. So the offense doesn't give up any sacks at all on Cousins. So this is a great spot for Cousins to be comfortable, do whatever he wants, as he's now coming off I talked about this. He's coming off 2 straight bad games now. So coming off of these 2 bad games, I feel like he's going to have a clean pocket. They're going to have the running game going. Another tidbit for the Vikings. The Vikings are also first in the NFL in defensive sacks. This has got to be one of the best 3-5 teams I've ever seen. If you're looking at all this, it's just absolutely crazy. They don't get sacked. They're first in sacks on defense. Just absolutely crazy. This team has to make the wild card. And if you look at all the wild card teams, you got the 49ers, the Panthers. The Vikings need this win. They're 3-5. They are desperate. They need to get the 4-5 here. Give me the Vikings 28-24. And I remember last week, the Chargers, their whole secondary was banged up and 3 of the guys were missing. So we don't even know who's coming back this week. Vikings can take advantage of that secondary too. So Chargers are just a little mess on defense right now. And the Vikings are a type of team that can take advantage of that.
Yeah, you pretty much took everything I was going to say for the most part. But, I mean, you pretty much put it in a nutshell. I mean, this defense cannot stop the run. I actually like the team total over for the Vikings, over 24.5. I think they're going to put up a good amount of points here. A lot of the juice is on the under. I have no problem with that. I'll take advantage with the book there on that. And this is a game I actually like the over 51.5. I actually like the Vikings over their team total more because of that. I think they're going to control the clock a little bit more with their run game and everything. They're getting that negative press right now with Cooks and everything, but they still have good running game without him. So I don't think we all know how good he is, but the backup's still good. And Cousins will get his there as well. You talk about the secondary being banged up, and this is a really desperate spot for the Vikings. I hope I don't regret it, but I am right there with you with the Vikings. Now that we're getting 3 because of all this media news and everything, I'm taking it. So give me the Vikings over team total and those points.
The Vikings are a nice little play too, like more in the first half, because I saw a stat that Cousins is actually like 123 QB rating when it comes to the first half, but it drops to like an 80 QB rating in the second half. That's why they keep losing all these tight games at the end. But these guys desperately need this game. They're eventually going to win one of these close games, but just like, I don't know, they just seem like the Vikings, like the first half, they like get up on you or they like have to come back. And I don't trust the Vikings as a comeback team. So I would think first half, they got to be winning in the first half and control this game. So I think the first half's a smart play too for this game.
Nice. Next game we got is the Panthers at the Cardinals. Let's see the total. Let's see the line here because everything's been going kind of crazy with this game. It's went up. Cardinals are 10.5-point favorites. The over-under us is 44.5.
Yeah, it moved from 9.5, 10.5. It's probably because Darnold's not playing now. They probably confirmed that today. But I'm taking the Cardinals here. Didn't even matter who was being quarterback. Cardinals are just an elite team as they won last week without Murray and Hopkins against a division foe, which was a very impressive win. And then you got the Panthers defense. The Panthers defense is good, but they're just not going to be able. They're going to get worn out by the second half of this game. But with the Cardinals just running all over them, and just there's going to be running so many plays that the Panthers will get worn out. I got a little stat here for you.
Right,
PJ Walker, he's made 6 appearances last year and this year. All right. He's got 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, and he's got a 49% completion percentage. I'll take the Cardinals, one of pretty much the best team in the NFL, facing a guy who can't even complete half his passes. 27-14, and I'm being nice with the 14 for the Panthers here.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. I'm all about the under this game. A lot of it doing with Walker here for the most part. The under is 9-1 in the last 10 Panther games, following a straight up loss of more than 14 points. The offense still not figuring things out. And then the under is also 4-0 in the last 4 Cardinals games as a favorite. So when they have been favorites, they've been locking down on these other teams. So it did start at 45.5. It's dropped down to 44. It's because of the Walker news. So I'm still liking that under. So give me that under, Russ.
Yeah, if Kyler's playing here, I think they're going to smoke him. So I'm hoping that he's playing in this game. I wouldn't put my money down if McCoy's playing. I would definitely side with the under if it's a McCoy versus PJ Walker game. That sounds like a snoozer right there. Especially after the Cardinals had such an impressive win with McCoy. You don't see him putting up like big numbers next week.
Right, exactly. More a reason to play the under.
Exactly.
Next game, we got Eagles at Broncos. The line is -3 Denver, and the over-under, Russ, 45.5. What, they both gone up a little bit.
Yeah, they're messing with everybody. All these lines were low for a reason. I loved all these openers at -2.5, and they're giving me the 3s for all these now. I just absolutely love it, Chris. So I got the Eagles here, and this might actually be my favorite play of the week. The Eagles actually have committed to the running game, which I saw last week. I was impressed that they actually did that. This is actually a great spot here as the Broncos are coming off an outright win as a +10 underdog. I love big underdog wins, and then the team's a favorite. I love fading those type of teams. When I took a glance at this game, I was just like, okay, the Broncos, they're probably -4, -5 at home against the Eagles. So when I saw it open at -2.5, I'm like, all right, something's very fishy here. So did some digging here for you, Chris. All right. See the Broncos. They had some injuries in that Cowboys game, so people didn't notice this. They're going to be without their starting right guard. He's out for the season, and they're also going to be without their starting right tackle for this game. The Broncos, they're 31st in NFL sacks allowed to the defenses. So you're telling me a team that's one of the worst at giving up sacks, they're now missing 2 more starters now. This offensive line is going to be a mess. The Eagles are going to take advantage of these guys. I got the Eagles 23-17 type of game. I think the Eagles defense just controls this game, and the Eagles offense will just do enough with the run game on the road here. So I love the Eagles here.
So what was the score you gave right there?
I got like a 23-17, but I think they control this game pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is a great spot for the Eagles. Now we're getting 3 points on top of that. Denver coming off that big public win that everyone's going to remember. You got to remember that a lot of these lines are based on the week before. These lines change constantly. If you look at this game at the beginning of the year, it was completely different. Now they're a favorite here for the most part. There's also another injury you forgot about. Surtain, their stud corner, he's also banged up as well. He has a big knee issue. He might not even be playing, and that'll hurt their great pass defense.
Yeah, he's out.
And the under is just such a good play here. Denver is 4-0 with the under following an against the spread win, which just happened. They scored a lot of points. That's not going to happen again. And also, they're 4-1 with the under. Denver in their last 5 as a home favorite. Broncos coming off back-to-back against the spread wins with a dominating performance against the Cowboys. This is a great spot. Eagles, couldn't get the job done against the Chargers. We never back the Eagles. And we're Eagles fans. We never back them. We absolutely love them in this spot. So the fact that we're even backing them in a game, I think speaks volumes here. The defense for the Eagles has been solid on the road. They're ranked 7th in defensive DVOA on the road in the entire NFL. So that defense has traveled for the Birds. Denver has had a worse defense when it comes to being at home. They're ranked 23rd in defensive DVOA at home. So that defense has not shown up over there in Mile High. They have not been a good team at home. Offensively, we know Denver, they're ranked 24th in offensive DVOA, just not good offensively. Teddy Bridgewater had a great game. I mean, this offense was clicking, Russ. They can't be happening again. It's a great spot. Eagles need to win this game. This is a very important game for the Eagles.
Yeah.
We saw them getting about 6, maybe 7 wins, being generous, but 6 wins. This could be one of those wins that get them closer to that 6 number here. They have an easier part of their schedule coming up. I love the Birds here as well. I think they win outright, and I love the under. So give me that under as well.
That's the thing. When I feel like I've been on fire lately, it's just like you got to know when you're on your team, and then you got to know when to bounce off of them. So last week, we loved the Chargers. We were against the Eagles last week. We're like, the Eagles weren't going to go 4-5. They're a 6 or 7 win team. They weren't going to be 4-5 on the season. It was just one of those games. Chargers they're a playoff caliber team. They were coming off 2 straight losses, so it was a great spot to take the Chargers there. So now we got the Eagles, perfect spot here. They're 3-6 now. Everybody's off of them. This is the perfect spot to jump on this team. You just got to know when to jump on teams. So everyone that took the Eagles last week, they've abandoned them. They're not going to be touching them in this game. So that's why you just got to be on the right side. You got to be hot, knowing when to bounce back and forth with certain teams. Because if you're in a cold streak, that's what happens. You get pissed off and then you go opposite the team. But when you're winning, you want to keep bouncing back and forth. You know what I mean? And I even talked about the defensive coordinator. I said, what did I say? I said the Chargers are going to put up a bunch of points, and he's going to be getting a bunch of shit this week. And that's all they've been talking about all week has been bashing the Eagles defensive coordinator. I'm like, Herbert's coming off 2 losses, 2 bad games Herbert have. I'm like, the guy's going to play good. Like, give him a break. The guy's a new defensive coordinator, but everyone's complaining about what the Eagles, they're getting killed on defense. Well, what do you want the guy to do? Blitz Herbert and then leave one of these studs wide open?
It's crazy.
We have nothing to talk about. So
no,
the offense is looking good for the Eagles the past 2 weeks. So you got to nitpick something and now pick on the defense. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles aren't good, but this is a great spot for them. Like you talk about, not being married to teams, we know where the spots are. It doesn't mean that, like, I'm going to be picking the Chargers every week. It just doesn't. I love Herbert, but I'm not taking him every week. I bet with my head, not with my heart. That's how I've always been. And let's get on to the next game here. We got the Seahawks at the Packers. The line is 3.5. The over-under 49. It dropped a little bit.
Yeah, I like the Packers here, but this is a tough game for me. Rodgers, he's been in the news all week, and I don't like to go against top quarterbacks when they have any kind of like pissed off motivation, especially Rodgers. I remember what was that last year? He went off and he was all pissed off. If he plays a great game, then everyone's just going to forget about the whole vaccine talk. So I feel like that's something he's going to do, is just shut everyone up. And the Seahawks, they're actually 31st in defensive yards allowed, and they're 30th in sacks a game. So they don't get pressure on the quarterback, and they're facing Rodgers here, who mixes it up too. He runs the ball, and he's with the pass game too. So I just don't trust the Seahawks on the road in this spot. I noticed that the Seahawks have those terrible numbers, and they've been facing average quarterbacks all season. So they actually haven't even faced any good quarterbacks. I think they faced, I was looking back, they faced one good quarterback, and that was Stafford, who put up like 26 points. So I don't like when teams like this show those kind of bad stats to be like one of the worst defensive teams, and you've only faced one good quarterback. It seems kind of fishy to me that this defense is really bad. So, and with Wilson, I mean, the guy's just coming back from his surgery on his finger. Like, I've been watching some things with some of these shows talking about Wilson's finger. Like they don't think he's going to be able to throw some deep passes in this game. So that's what makes me a little nervous too. Who knows what he's going to do coming out here? You don't know what's up with his finger. It was like Dak. He came out and look how bad he's looked the past couple weeks. Like I'd like to see like off an injury what someone's going to do, and then I'll bet them after the fact. But I'm not going to bet the Packers, but all the signs are just showing me I can't take the Seahawks in this game.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. A lot of uncertainty. Is Russ Wilson coming too soon from his injury? I know they were talking about he would be like gone for 6 weeks. I think he's only been gone about 4 weeks now for the most part. If I were to take something, I would take this under because I think this is more of just like trying to control the clock, trying to get, try and get the win, but, not getting too crazy, putting your QB in like harm's way. So I'm about the under over here. Then we're going to go to Sunday night, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Raiders. The line is +2.5. The Raiders, the over-under is 51.5.
Yeah, this is probably the one game I'm going to avoid this week. I'm just going to wait for Mahomes to have his breakout game until I start to bet him again because I don't know what the heck he's going to do. But just looking at this game, the Raiders are just one of the most overachieving teams. I just can't trust them, and everything, they're falling apart. What did they pick up? Deshaun Jackson. It's like where wide receivers go to die. It's like that you literally just went to the Raiders. Your career is now over. It's like what was it? Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, all these great wide receivers that their career just ended once they went to the Raiders. But it's all literally what David Carr does in this game. I mean, is he going to put up a bunch of points here? I have no clue. This is just one of these games. I don't know what's going to happen, but just looking at it, I don't need to bet it, but just looking at it, I just know the Chiefs are going to win this game. But I just can't picture what are the Raiders going to be 7-3 beating the Chiefs and the Chiefs go to 5-5. I can't live in that type of world.
Yeah, I mean, it seems very unlikely, right? But it's so hard because, like, I would never thought Mahomes being this bad. Like, it's just he just been. I mean, if you've been watching the games, he's been missing wide receivers. He hasn't been himself. I know people joke on social media all the time. It's like his wife or soon-to-be wife is like driving him crazy or something. He's just like down in the dumps or like whatever, just like whatever social media stuff. This is the stuff I find. It's outrageous, but I just like to see because I like to see how these betting publics go and everything like that. Twitter's great spot for that and everything, but there's going to be points here, Russ. I mean, Carr's going to score. I mean, I think the over is the play here, but instead of losing a year or two off my life, I'm not going to bet this game because I need to spare these lives as much as possible over here these years. So I'm with you. Probably not going to touch this game, but if I do have to take something, I'm taking the over and enjoy the ride on Sunday night.
Yeah, and the Raiders, they do this every single year. They start out hot and then they just fall apart at the end of the season. So I just can't. I just don't see it with the Raiders.
I feel like the Raiders are like always on prime time for whatever reason. It just seems like they're really pushing them this year. But
yeah, I guess it's because of the whole Vegas thing. That's why.
Yeah. And finally, we got the Monday night game. We got the Rams at the 49ers. The line is +3.5. It's dropped down a point. And the over-under is 49, Russ.
Yeah, I'm going to avoid the spread here, but I do like the under here. So you got the Rams coming off their worst performance of the season last week. They were on cruise control, facing a lot of terrible teams in a row. They were facing like the Texans, the Lions. I feel like they just got caught in a spot last week against the Titans where they actually faced like a pretty good team, and they just got overwhelmed because they're just so used to playing shitty teams the past couple of weeks. So I just see the Rams getting back to the run game, and to get Stafford's going to get his confidence back, so they'll get the run game going again. And this is a division type of game. I mean, 49ers, they're going to be playing for their lives here, home on Monday Night Football. So I could see this game being close. I mean, -4 is a pretty big spread. I think the 49ers could lose this by a field goal or something. But this is just an under type of game for me. I see like a 24-21 type of game here.
Yeah, I mean, you're actually gaining, like, you're buying low on the Rams here. I mean, getting completely embarrassed. I would side with the Rams. I just can't trust Shanahan right now. I just don't feel like he's doing a really good coaching job. I've been watching him all year. He's given away games, especially against the spread wins that I can at least attest to. He just hasn't really been there as far as being the coach that you've been able to rely on. I know Kittle should be back, I think, for the most part. So I think that should help as well. I like that under, but if I did have to take a side, I would take a pissed off Rams team that can probably score here. But yeah, I think it's under or nothing here for the most part. But if you're looking to play a side, you got to go with the Rams here because you just can't trust Shanahan.
And we were saying with the Rams, they've been playing all those bad teams, so they've been putting up so much big numbers, putting up in the 30s. So
right,
I just feel like every time I jump on these Rams unders, it seems like they're hitting against like actual good teams. So this definitely seems Monday Night Football division game. You just gotta think under both of these teams trying to make the playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's our NFL card, but don't leave. We got college football here. We're going to be talking about two big games, and of course, my revenge tour game coming off of the ASU cover, imploded spread the way I like it. It's imploded for a reason. They took care of business last week, but we got some winners coming up over here as well. But the first game, Oklahoma at Baylor. The line is +6 Baylor. The over-under us is 63. Where are we going?
I like Oklahoma here. I usually don't like taking the road favorite, but I just feel like Oklahoma is actually just being disrespected. I was just looking at this team, and they're undefeated on the season, and they're only ranked 8th. And I'm seeing teams like Michigan State and Michigan up there who have lost games. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I was looking through. I actually have Oklahoma ranked 4th here for the season, so I think it's just ridiculous. So I think they just have a lot to prove in this game. I think that they can cover this game easily. I mean, I think they'll win pretty easily, but I think they'll win by like a touchdown. I could see like a 30-23 type of game here, as Oklahoma is starting. They're a type of team that's going to start building momentum now at the midseason point.
Yeah, I got to go to the other side here, Russ. I like the goal. I like Baylor Bears here. Baylor's got the better defense when it comes down to it, especially on busted drive rate. Is a lot better. They're ranked 39th compared to Oklahoma, which is 104th in that field. And what that pretty much is pretty much stopping drives, not gaining many yards. That's pretty much what it comes down to. The defensive line for Baylor is playing really well right now, so I really like that. Baylor is 16-1 as a conference dog versus an opponent off a straight up against the spread win. And Baylor's also 5-0 against the spread this year at home. So Baylor and Oklahoma's offense have been it hasn't been too much of a gap. Like Caleb Williams been fantastic. He's been throwing really well, had a lot of time because of using his legs and everything. But the main issue is that Baylor's got some weapons as well. The run game has been fantastic. It's led by Abram Smith, and he has 11 TDs, and Taquan Thornton at wideout. It's been fantastic. 17 yards a catch he's been averaging. This pass defense hasn't really been a strong point for Oklahoma this year, which we thought it was going to be, but it's been shown that it hasn't really been that well. I just feel that Baylor is in a good spot here. Oklahoma's got Oklahoma State coming up in their last game, the Bedlam, which is going to mean everything more than ever. And then Iowa State right before that. So this is a tough stretch for Oklahoma, and there's going to be a lot of, you're going to see what really the Sooners are made of. I think that they are kind of rolling at this point, but this is going to be a tough stretch for them, and it starts right here with Baylor. So I'll be more than happy to take the points here.
Nice.
Next game we got a Big Ten matchup, Minnesota at Iowa. The line is also -6, Iowa, and the over-under us 37. Where are we going?
Yeah, I got this just being a very ugly game here, but I'm going to go with Minnesota here. I'll take the points. I think Iowa wins the game, but Minnesota's just going to play tough enough and should just be able to keep this game close. Minnesota's been playing good all season against everybody. And Iowa's offense, they're starting to just free fall here on the second half of the season. The offense has averaged 10 points per game the last 3 games. So I just don't trust a team that can't score points to cover what I think is a pretty big spread here at -6. So I could just see this being very low scoring, 17-14 type of game. I'll take Minnesota to get the cover.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head right there. Hey. I mean, their offense, Iowa, has been bad. Iowa's offense this year in the country in total yards gained 123rd, Russ. Oof. There's a lot of football teams out there in the country. 123rd in the entire country. Petrus, their QB, doesn't even look like he's going to suit up this week either. Minnesota, they run they run the ball so well. They're 22nd in the country in rushing yards. Minnesota has stepped up against these winning teams. They're 4-0 against the spread against a team with a winning record. And this is the big one here, Russ. Minnesota is also 12-1 off a straight-up favorite loss, and they just lost to Illinois as a 14.5-point favorite last week. This team bounces back. The coaching's excellent on this team. Like you said, it's going to be tough for a team like Iowa to really score enough points to cover this kind of spread. I think Minnesota's a live dog here. I'll be more than happy to take the 6 points, but maybe sprinkle a little bit of that money line. This might be a really good spot for the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, I was so focused on Iowa. I'm glad you threw that out there about Minnesota losing outright last week, because I didn't even take a look at that, actually. So that's a great thing you threw in right there. And nothing's as worse as seeing Iowa only win by 5 points to Northwestern last week. Northwestern is terrible this year.
Yeah, they are not good.
And if you want to date back I said about 10 points per game the last 3 games. If you go back 4 games ago, they had their win against Penn State. But what happened? Penn State lost their quarterback during the game. So Iowa really hasn't looked that good the last 4 weeks. So you're starting to see what this team really looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll actually jump into your final game, one of your revenge games here. You got Arkansas. They're -2 at LSU. Who you got here?
Yeah, Russ, we're back on the revenge tour. We've been real successful with these revenge games. We had ASU laying a crazy number of 8.5 last week against USC. We didn't fall for that USC trap over a touchdown. They covered that game. And guess who was in the crowd? Guess who they were honoring?
No, I missed it. I was actually watching the first half. It was a snoozer. Every time I watch the game, nothing happens. I'm like, what's going on at Arizona State? And they must have turned it on the second half, because I'm like, come on, man, what is going on here? No one scored. I'm just watching, nothing going on. Literally every time. It's one of those things where you bet a game, you watch it, and your team does nothing, you turn it off, you're like, oh, they won by 3 touchdowns. Okay.
That was the thing. That's what happened with the North Texas Southern.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Who was there?
Oh, Rombo, John Rahm. He was there with his wife, both Sun Devils over there. They went out there, they got honored and everything. He brought out his little trophy.
I've never seen you so excited to see Arizona State.
Well, I like John Rahm. John Rahm's not too bad though. For a Sun Devil, he's not too bad. But I didn't even know this kind of stuff. The crowd was jacked up for him and everything. This was kind of like this was even a better spot than I even imagined for the Sun Devils, which was crazy enough. But hey, we like winners, Russ. That's what we do here. But I got a winner for you here. Arkansas, -2.5, Russ. Arkansas is coming off 3 losses against the spread. It's a good spot for them to cover this game against LSU, who just covered against Alabama in a really close game. This is the highest line that Arkansas has had in like the longest time. And in 2014, they were a 1-point favorite. They won that game 17-0. This is considered a high line for this. This is an imploded line for Arkansas. They have never been this much of a favorite that I could trace back to. 2.5, you'd be like, well, they're a good team. I get it, but no, this is a big line for Arkansas. This tells a lot. Arkansas losses this year: Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. All really good teams. I mean, they had a tough schedule. LSU, on the other hand, has 5 losses. This isn't your typical Tigers team. I do like that quarterback they have, the young guy there. He's been playing really well. Arkansas has fared well against LSU as far as the spread goes. They covered 6 out of the last 8 meetings, and they also covered 10 out of the last 6 out of the last 8 that was in LSU, and then 10 out of 14 meetings in total. So Arkansas, they lead by their rushing attack. They're 4th in the nation in rushing yards. Arkansas is just a better team offensively and defensively than LSU, and that was just a big emotional game for them. It's a great letdown for LSU. LSU's had a hard time stopping the explosive plays more this year than any other years past. There should be plenty of explosive plays for the Razorbacks here. And one more thing, Russ, this is also important. Arkansas is 11-2 up to this date as a favorite of less than 15 points with revenge. This is monster revenge for the Razorbacks. They're getting good. Now they can beat up on a team that's been kicking their ass for years upon years upon years. This is very important to Arkansas. And now that they're a favorite in this game with the revenge, it has shown before, 11-2. I love it here, Russ. Arkansas might lay the wood here, and I'll be more than happy to take the 2.5.
Nice. Yeah. I was against Arkansas last week, so it looks like they didn't cover the spread at the end of the game. So it looks like this will be a game I think they'll win by a touchdown, win a close type of game with Arkansas there. So I think that's a good, smart play right there.
Yeah, this is a look ahead. That was a look ahead game last week, and now we're getting into this game. They had this one circled for a while. This is the one that they really, they want to make a statement here, and especially at LSU on top of that, and Death Valley. Oh yeah, the Razorbacks are ready.
Usually a team when they got back-to-back road games here, Arkansas, get your little win, have your nice game, and then the next game's at Alabama. That's when you just get your ass kicked.
Exactly. You got to get this win in now.
I'm looking back at they had a back-to-back road game before, and that was the get your ass kicked by Georgia, and then they covered against Ole Miss. So there you go. You have the one good game and the one bad game. So you get the one good game, and then next week they'll just get their ass kicked against Alabama.
Yeah, so pretty much the game they didn't cover last week. Now this is the game that they're looking at, and this is a very important spot. This is an imploded line, even though it doesn't look like it, but it is. So the Razorbacks -2.5. So that'll do for us. That was Tackle the Board. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Spread the word on the Sharp app, all that good stuff. Russ, we're on TikTok also, which is also pretty awesome over here.
Right.
My new name for as you can see on TikTok is E-Bomb Sports Bets over here. So follow that. I'm going to start posting videos starting this week.
He might do some dancing too.
If you're lucky. I might get my dog on there. Do some dance with the dog or something. Maybe Lulu will make some plays for me. Whoever gets the views, But no, I'm gonna start putting plays out there for the people. I've been getting away from that. I'm gonna start getting into that a lot more now. Putting out that knowledge for specific games that are coming up that I might have not got into today. More winning bets, more winning info for you guys. Just remember, spread the word. Tackle the Board. Russ is Vegas line reader. I'm Chris E-Bomb. Russ, any fair last words here?
Yeah, just say it every week. Make sure you guys just help us out. If you watch the video, if you like what we're doing, guys, just hit the like button. It helps us out. Just hit subscribe and you'll get updated. I know some of you guys are having trouble finding us as we switched our Tackle the Board show now to the Sharp app. So some people are having trouble finding us. So just subscribe, guys, so you get these videos every week, basically. And just feeling good lately. I've been on fire. So if you guys need picks, contact me this weekend. I got some plays that I love. And when I'm hot, I'm literally here watching my college basketball game. And Henry Coleman III over here is hitting 2 jump shots at the end of the game, putting the team up 18. The spread was 17.5. I'm loving my life over here. So phone's getting blown up over here. Just keep hitting winners. So contact me, guys. Check out my website, vegaslinereader.com. And make sure you guys subscribe to the Sharp app and continue to watch the show.
Yep, guys, don't miss out. We're going to tackle this board and make that money.
Let's go.